persecuting.
Can I ask you a question? What
Sure.
what's your take on Jesus Christ dying on the cross for all sins for forgiveness? What is
Well,
that?
don't look. You slipped in a couple of death knells in there.
Well, I'm
Don't
curious
be
on
slipping
your
in.
take. I'm curious on your
Yeah, he
take.
didn't die for all sins. He
Okay.
died for all the sins of his people.
Okay. What
All
does
of the
that
sins
mean?
of
What does
all
that
of
mean?
his. Well, they're called the elect. They're called a very small remnant. They're called his sheep. They're called his servants.
Is that all of us or who? What? Who?
His
What?
electon, a very small remnant. Don't you remember Christ saying, "Wide is the path, broad is the way that leadeth to hell, and many enter in thereat. But narrow is the way, and small narrow is the gate, and narrow is the way, and hardly anyone enters into that gate.
Who are
Hardly
these elite
anyone."
people you're talking about? I thought it was everybody.
Well, you thought wrong because you didn't read. You got to read Matthew 25,
So
Okay.
who
where
is it
Well,
then?
tell it. Can you tell us?
yeah, he says in the day of judgment, he's going to have his sheep on his right hand and the goats on his left hand. He calls them sheep and goats. And he says that they're going to say to him, "Why?" He says, "Come, my blessed, enter into your rest. And the rest of you are go to hell." And they said, "Why?" He says, "Because," to the goats, "when I was hungry, you didn't feed me. When I was sick, you didn't visit me." He lists off a litany of things they didn't do. And they said, "But we never saw you." He says, "Yeah, but as what you did to these little ones that are over here on my right side, what you did to them, you did it to me." It's the only way you do anything to God in this earth is by what you do to his people. Then he says to them, they said, "Well, what did we do?" He says, "You did feed me. You did visit me. You did clothe me." They said, "Well, we didn't see you either." He said, "As much as you did it to the least of these, my little ones." In other words, you better treat God's people right, and God's people better treat God's people right. And here's another stark verse. It says, "Their angels do always, always behold the face of God." Think of the ascending and descending. They go up, they come down, they go and stand in the presence of God. And what occurred to me one day when I was drilling that down smartly in my mind is, I don't want anyone's angel ratting me out. I'm just going to treat them right. I'm going to treat them right. I'm going to treat all men as good as I can treat them, according to the standards of God. That's why I haste. I make haste. I run to the battle. I get out on these streets and take these words and say them. And I use every bit of my resources and my strength to do it.
I gotta say, you say you would treat them in a certain way with best
Like I,
intentions. Me personally, I would feel apprehensive. I mean, there are so many things. If I were to walk into your house, I would be apprehensive. What would I do to?
you know that there are so many people coming in and out of my house. You see documentaries all over the landscape. People come in my house, my little children. That big loudmouth brute named Keith Allen is
Yeah,
sitting
I
in my
saw that.
house, and he's bellowing around and just like a big dumb oaf. And all of a sudden he stops, just like he'd been in character, that he was just putting on a program. And he stops and he goes, "This is amazing. All these little children in here, and none of them are running out here to see what all the fuss is about." I said, "That's because this is their life. Hello. This nation's a bunch of loudmouth bullies and brutes. They don't get worked up."